Welcome back to the NJCPA Tech Talk podcast, back for episode 6, actually, right? And our NJCPA podcast is hosted by the Emerging Technologies Interest Group. And I'm amped today to have an awesome IT-focused guest, right? It's obviously the whole IT angle of things, cybersecurity, technology, in firms, outside of firms, internal partners and colleagues, external clients is obviously a hot button, hot topic issue right now. So I'm really excited for our conversation here on episode 6. And just a brief word about me, just in case you haven't had to hear me before, deal with me all the rest. I'm your host for the NJCPA Tech Talk podcast, Sean Stein-Smith. I do quite a bit, both on a hands-on point of view and in an academic research consulting point of view on blockchain, crypto, anything that has to do with how folks in accounting, in finance, econ can really harness any of these new applications, new assets, both to improve internal operations and to help external clients make better business actual choices. So with all of that boring stuff out of the way, I'm going to actually introduce our episode guest, Anthony Mongeluzo, who's actually a partner, CEO, and a technology correspondent for a mainstream media channel. And so, Anthony, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
And so, can you add into some of these firms listed here, right? Because on top of being the CEO of PCS, which is a IT support managed solutions firm, you're also the partner at 2 other firms, right? One is focused on actual, I'm assuming, at-home services, and then the other one is actually focused on specifically to the cybersecurity issues. So in terms of the firms and your operations, can you add some extra context for us here?
Sure. So PCS, which is the main company, we have over 160 team members, and what we do is our goal and mission is to help businesses utilize technology to actually run their business. When new team members come to PCS, I always tease them. I say, "Hey, what do we do?" And the answer is, "Oh, we're the best IT company on the planet. We're this, we're that." I'm like, "No, we are actually a customer service company that happens to be really good at IT. It's the service that we give that's really part of it. Anyone can fix your computer, anyone can fix your servers, but how do you deliver it? How's the experience? Do they answer the phone live? Do you work with a dedicated team?" So that's what we really created at PCS. Now, the one thing I laugh about is I'm going to say PCS at home is a COVID baby, right? What ended up happening was we hate saying no to people. But residential IT support is very different than corporate IT support. And I actually got my start doing residential IT support. So 20 years ago, when I started PCS, it was an at-home company. We did residential and really teeny tiny offices. My COO, Tracy, and myself during this time started to see a need, right? Because now everyone's home is their office. So we created PCS at home to essentially, be in the position to say, yes, we could help you. We could help the kids learning from home remotely. We could help the parents that are, now their Wi-Fi might be taxed because there's 6 people at home all day. And then cyber actually came about 7 or 8 years ago now. Myself and a friend of mine, we saw a real need for cybersecurity. And that's actually what I covered on the news today, the JBS meat hacking. Last week it was the pipeline. Who knows what it's going to be next week? So what the cybersecurity company does is focuses on helping different types of clients get hacked by us, the good guys, where we will do you no harm. We'll tell you how to fix it, as opposed to what happened at the meat plant where they encrypted all their data and said, give us a lot of money, you're not going to get your data back. So cyber is actually the perfect fit to PCS because while most IT companies are good, a lot of folks like my company are trying to get into cybersecurity. And what I tell people is if you see a managed service provider trying to sell you cybersecurity, run. As accountants, you can't go to the IRS. "Oh, we audited ourselves. We're good." A computer company, we shouldn't be auditing ourselves, just like you don't proofread your own writing.
Yeah. And so the whole sort of outlined there, right? So would those operations at cyber be actually called in some other context the idea of white hat hacking?
White, you got it perfectly. Yeah,
Okay,
it's we are white hat hackers, or sometimes people will call us ethical hackers. The black
excellent.
hats or the dark hats, they're the bad guys that will hack you and then ask you for money.
Excellent. So actually, we are now hosting on the podcast a ethical hacker, white hat hacker, top hat hacker, maybe. Yeah, and you know what? I do want to come back to that later. But actually, be now as we sort of pivot over onto the core topics, right? Can you sort of briefly talk about at these huge entities, right? Because the meatpacking company, JBS, is the world's biggest meatpacking company in the world. So I would assume that they have IT people internally, right? That they have external consultants and all of that. They have PowerPoints and whiteboards and lots of suits and ties, right? So,
Oh, yeah.
so how is an entity like that able to be hacked?
Well, let me share one thing just for context. Probably
Sure.
about 2 years ago, we created a division here at PCS. We call it the CERT team. That stands for Critical Incident Response Team. I
Okay.
can't say the names, but I could tell you I'm working on.
Oh, come on, man. Give us a couple names.
Well,
Give us a couple names. Come on. It's
my,
just us, right? It's just
we'll,
us.
we'll share the names on the legal podcast when I get sued. I get the free legal advice, but idea of context, right? So we're one of the bigger providers of information technology services with about 165 people here. We were actually helping a company whose IT department, not the company, the IT department was 450 people, and they got hacked, and we were helping them. The thing that I say, and really what's going on with the technology updates for places like the meat plant or the pipeline, think about this. My company, Cyber, is 100% successful hacking. We need one person to screw up one time, and we're in your network. We could just keep taking shots at you. So what happens is these big companies, they call it spear phishing. I will gather all the data that I can from your website, LinkedIn. I might send you an email so you write back and I could get your IP address if you host your server locally. So really the technology update is you have to think about protecting yourself. We're going to be talking about this at the upcoming convention, but multi-factor authentication, your insurance companies are going to require that. You need that. So you need multi-factor. You're going to need strong passwords. You're going to need not just antivirus. You're going to need advanced antivirus. Antivirus is good, but with all these hacks now, I mean, there really is no great way to fully protect yourself. A company like the meat plant, we got thousands of employees worldwide. One person clicks one wrong email link, that's the crack. Now the hacker's in, and now they can poke around, and who knows how long the hackers were in there. They could have been in there for months.
Wow. So if I was to try to explain that to a firm partner, a manager, an owner who isn't a tech expert, right? So you're trying to say, right, trying to offer advice that there really has to be more focus paid on and actually dollars allocated to IT support, IT antivirus, whatever the actual assets are. There has to be more effort and actual dollars put into those.
Yeah,
Correct?
Yeah, and the interesting thing about this, the best ways to protect yourself are very small dollars.
Okay.
Multi-factor authentication, you're looking at a couple bucks a month per device.
So what does that mean exactly,
So what multi-factor
Anthony?
essentially means is I'll log into my computer, I'll type my password in here, and it's going to say, okay, well, to access this system, you need a code. So for instance, I'll show you one here. Here's Google Authenticator. So basically every 30 seconds, it's going to switch those numbers, and I need these numbers. So even if someone steals my password, they need to steal my phone now. They need to get that SIM card inside there or duplicate it, which is possible, but I would think highly unlikely because this last hack came from Russia. So figure if they come from Russia and then come to South Jersey and steal my phone, I probably have a bigger problem on my hands.
Probably.
That's what multi-factor is. So for instance, it might not be on your phone. It might be a text message that comes to your device. What's also going to happen, Microsoft's trying to get rid of passwords, right? Instead of using passwords, they're going to use my voice and maybe a combination of my face or thumbprint. So again, it's just making layers. And you know, a lot of the CPA firms, what I always hear is, oh, well, I'm too small. Nobody's going to hack me. And the problem is the small ones are easy, and the amount of data and important data that CPAs hold, social security numbers, banking information, tax numbers, balance sheets. CPAs are one of the most sought after people to hack. And you could be a two-person CPA firm, but you might have a very famous client.
Mm,
So you don't really look at the
very true.
size. You just want to try to come up with a budget. You'll never be able to spend enough money because there's always going to be something else. But you want to take some steps.
Excellent points there. And so I would also hazard that the impact of COVID has been probably huge on this whole IT conversation. To echo a earlier comment, if you have tax prep people, you have auditors, you have planners, advisors working at home. I mean, how has that changed the whole conversation around IT? Has it, on the one hand, really sort of brought that to the front burner, or obviously with COVID and all of the other risks and all of the other the noise that has also been out there? I mean, or has that pushed IT back to the back burner?
Well, I'll share that in quite a few ways. So what I
Okay.
actually predicted the first year ago, almost probably 14 months ago on Fox 29, and I still stand by this prediction. I don't think we've seen the damage of COVID when it comes to cybersecurity yet. Because think about this now. Your office, your CPA firm, I'm going to assume is going to have better security than your home. Home users, they have their kids going on different things. So now I don't need to hack your office. I just need to get into the residential computer because there's less firewalls and all that. So from a security perspective, I think that's a bad thing. From an actual working perspective, the nice thing is, every company is now set up to work 100% from home. You have your manufacturing and other where you need to touch food services.
Sure.
But realistically speaking, all the cans that kept getting kicked down the lane, oh, well, I don't need a big infrastructure. What am I going to, 20%? Oh, if it's a snow day, who cares? We'll take the day off. Now, just as there's no snow days for the kids learning remotely, there's no snow days for the adults because there is no excuse. We have our Zoom cameras, we have our VPNs, we have our terminal servers. The interesting thing, though, from the IT profession, this COVID actually moved us up to the top of the list. I think it turned IT companies like myself into more of a utility. Our accounts receivable are the best they've ever been. People have paid us so quickly, where before we were on the back burner. But I think people now, like, I guess we better pay the IT people since we need that server running. That server is now their cash register. Because if that remote server goes down, depending on the size of your firm, how much lost wages, how unhappy will your clients be if you can't meet deadlines? So it actually, I'll never wish this on earth again, but in some ways, I'll say, I forget one of the old movies, but we got some respect. We got some respect now for IT. They actually
There we go.
do, right? Before it's just like, oh, this stuff's in a room and I turn my computer on and it works.
Yeah. And I've heard now, I'd say quite a few times, that this whole impact of COVID, working off site, home, all the rest, has actually pulled forward a whole bunch of IT solutions and ideas about 5 to 8 years forward. And so
Easily. I mean, I also think my other prediction is we're going to turn into the Jetsons now, right? Remember all they
hopefully,
did?
right? Flying cars and everything, that'd be great.
Well, video calls at least, but think about it.
Yeah, right.
I can't tell you, other than if I'm in the car, when do you make a call now? Everything's a Zoom. Everything's a Zoom or a Teams or, meet up on Google. And in some ways that's good. But in other ways, I still like the social element. I still like to go out and see people.
Well, yeah, no, and I would also argue that all of our homes and offices, or our home offices, basements, all the rest, have been turned into actually probably much photo ready places too. So there is a little added upside too.
Yep.
But in terms of like, all right, fine. So hopefully now all of us are on the way out of the worst of COVID, hopefully. And so all of us do have now this capacity to work from home, work off site, and to try to manage a whole firm off site. But how is that going to change going forward? as the offices reopen, as we get more back to normal, how is that going to change the IT usage and the IT concepts that have been brought off the back burner right to the front burner during COVID?
So I think there's going to be a lot of things. What I'm seeing from the market is I don't think we're going to return to normal. I don't think
Hmm.
companies are going to go 4 or 5 days a week. The issue is now, and especially with your younger CPAs and folks that are more inclined to use technology because that's what they grew up on because they're 25, 30 years old, they're going to work for a firm that's going to allow you to work from home. And you're going to get some economies of scale, right? Because maybe a
Hmm.
CPA in New York makes 150,000, where someone in New Jersey makes 90. So the people in New York are going to say, "Huh, I'll pay you 115, work from home." So now I'm making way more than I would make in this market. I'm working from home, and what I'm hearing too is I'm hearing that the real thing, especially for your local workforce, is going to be hybrid.
Yeah.
It's going to be 3 days a week you come in, and even places like ours, our trademark for 20 years is this shirt and tie. All of our technicians wore that. Guess what? To make it more fun and more appealing to be here, everyone's getting PCS logoed shirts now. No more shirts and ties, and it's painful for me because I kind of brand. But at the end of the day, after having folks working from home for 14 months, probably who knows what they're wearing, right? Because you don't see them. So I'm going to tell you now, you got to drive to the office 40 minutes up and back, miss that time with your family. And oh, by the way, get a suit and dry cleaning. It's just not going to fly in today's world because it's changed.
Yeah. No, and all of that really does echo the headlines that I'm sure all of us have been hearing, seeing on Bloomberg and all the rest about this new hybrid model going forward, which is also going to have a impact, I think, on other aspects, right, of IT. Like, okay, fine, as this shift actually becomes more sort of formalized and permanent, I can guarantee you, and I'm sure Anthony uh, also can add to this, that there are going to be more changes and more investments needed to have this hybrid model work permanently going forward to also keep the data safe, right? Both at the homes and at the office.
Yeah, so here's my prediction with that, right? And I hate to say this because I own my building and thankfully we're fully leased, but I think a lot of your big firms across the country are going to cut their office space in half because you're going to need less space. Now, what I'm hoping gets done with, imagine a national firm, what they spend in real estate monthly. They could probably take 20% of those real estate savings, those rent savings,
Mhm.
put that into cybersecurity, put that into better backup, put that into more bandwidth to make the experience better. And the partners are still going to walk away with a lot more money than they had paying rent. So I think there should be some type of reallocation. And hopefully folks understand that, okay, I could take this money, put it here, drastically improve my chances of not getting hacked because nothing's
Mhm.
ever 100%. My favorite
True.
line, I've been saying this way too long, is, everyone said the Titanic was unsinkable. When someone says they're unhackable, that's exactly what I say. And you know, leverage that budget to have a better experience working from home. Maybe throw a little money into, email phishing training so
Mhm.
team members will know, hey, this is a bad email. This is why it's bad. Things like that. Again, you'll still be more profitable.
And probably the only other question that I would have for you right now is how do you introduce these ideas and concepts to firm partners, to firm owners who might not always be as tech savvy, tech uh, native as other folks out there, but who also still have valuable firms and that treasure trove of external client data. Like, how do you try to uh, bridge that gap? I'm assuming it's part education, part examples, part risk management conversations.
Yep.
How would that work?
Yeah, up front, and I'm talking, I've been doing this over half my life. I've been doing this for 20 years. And up front, it's been very tough, right? Because a lot of times, even if they'll sometimes play a little tech dumb, where they understand it, it's the bottom line is they just didn't want to spend the money on it. What I
Mm.
would say over the last 3 or 4 years, uh, I've kind of turned into a house cat because I don't really need to bring it up because it's on TV every day. So now the conversation's a little different. Every time a major hack goes on, because like for today, I did the JBS meet. I'm going to put it on my Facebook. We're going to put it on our LinkedIn. It's an audience of about 13,000 people. I'm going to get a call or two and someone's going to go, what's the deal with that? Am I safe? And the answer is always typically no. You know, you got to do this, this, or this. And there's always more you could do. But the media has been probably our biggest advertisement, because now, like, it's when a small company sees it, they're like, wait a minute, the pipeline got hacked? Like, I didn't think that could happen.
Mm-hmm.
And that
Sure.
very much leads into it. Well, who do you think has better security, you or the pipeline? Now, technically, in this case, if you didn't get hacked, you, right? But realistically speaking, that's a very big deal. So I think with everything going out there, the media kind of suppressed this one. Facebook was hacked about a month ago. They released Zuckerberg's cell phone. Acer, the $7.8 billion company that makes your computer chips, they were hacked. That was until that 4 weeks ago. They were the world's largest ransom with 50 million. Now it's old news. By the way, ransomware is a $20 billion business last year. 20 billion.
That's incredible. I mean, that's actual, like scope. That's the international firm size.
Oh, wow. Yeah, you could buy a small island at least.
No. And Anthony, are there any like closing thoughts that you would want to say to any firms, any firm owners, staff, managers, partners out there who are tuning in? Are there any maybe easy action steps, one or two easy action steps that any firm can actually take right now to improve their own IT?
Yep.
Right now.
So I'll give you two easy action items. I said it. We're going to break this down. I'll give you 2 and 2. We'll do
okay.
So get the multi-factor authentication, MFA, two-factor, those kind of things, and get an advanced antivirus. You could get Huntress for about $5 a month extra, or you could get SentinelOne for around 12 to 15, depending on what your budget, and that's monthly. Now, free. Bring up security, right? Don't just look at cybersecurity such as, hey, I'm going to hack your system, because most people think of us white hat hackers as, we're in a closed room and we're punching away at the keyboard, we're sweating. Many times, and we've actually hacked a CPA firm by walking into their building. They engaged us as a large firm. We asked to use the restroom, and then we plugged stuff in because nobody watched us. So
wow.
Teach your staff to be security minded. Bring up security. If you see an example of a spam email that came in that tried to get your password, print it out. That's free. And then the last, to finish the two, I can't beg you enough. I'm not an insurance sales guy, but I'm going to tell you, please have cyber insurance. They're needed. It should be a prerequisite for any business owner that holds any data. One hack can put you out of business. You're a 50-person company, you might spend $300,000 cleaning it up.
Wow. Well, 2 and 2. 2 for free and 2 for under $20 a month. Exactly. Anthony, excellent stuff here. And if anybody here tuning into our current episode of the NJCPA Tech Talk podcast wants to go back, there are some options here for you. Sign up for the NJCPA Tech Talk podcast in your favorite podcasting app. Watch it on YouTube at youtube.com/NJCPA. Watch online at njcpa.org/Tech Talk. And for all NJCPA members tuning in, join the ETIG at njcpa.org/groups. Anthony, it's honestly been an excellent conversation, lots of great content. And what's the best way for anybody to get in contact?
Sure. My email address is very easy. It's just anthony@helpmepcs.com. On our phone number, 877-596-4446.
Excellent stuff. Anthony, been an awesome conversation, and we have to have you back on.
Sure. Anytime. Thanks for having me.
All right. Thank you so much.